Hey everybody, this is Pretzi. I am doing a bunch of Kb5 runs. I wanted to show off the team and try to encourage everybody in our guild to build this Kb5 team. Or Kb5, which I actually think is slightly better, but I'm not gonna rush to change anything on my team now. So, real quick explanation on what a Kb5 team is. It is a R5 team that kills the boss in 30 seconds or less. And sometimes it derps, and sometimes you overcome those derps, and it takes a minute to kill the boss in those cases. Let me show you, while we are doing these runs, the general idea of how this works. So, you have your Katarina. That is the Wind Valkyrie. She is fusible. You got your Belagor. He is the Fire Lightning Emperor, and he is also fusible. And they need to be on damage-dealing runes. So they need to have about plus 1700 attack and 230 crit rate each, in order to do their jobs appropriately. And they need to be built on will runes all as their offset. And that's just to prevent the boss from coming in and doing an AoE breath and putting an attack debuff on either one of them, because then that just messes with your damage and you will wipe. If you every little bit of damage is super important in this team, because if you don't kill the boss, he is very likely going to kill you. So just every little bit of damage, you are fighting for every tiny bit of damage. Then what do we do with the rest of our team? Well, everyone else is on fight runes and will runes, with the exception of Chloe in my team, who is on shield runes. And that's just because her speed is greater than she's 30 or more speed greater than the next fastest mon after her, which means that if she gets a slow debuff, then she will still go first. More explanation coming up soon here. 1 second. So the turn order that you're going for, if you're building a Kb5 team, is Chloe goes first, then Immensity, which is the Wind Horus, this guy here, he'll go after her, and he will use his S3 100% of the time, which will fill up Chloe's attack bar again, and that gives her 2 chances to use her S3, because you need her to use her S3 to get Cat's S3 activated. And then after those two, it will be Galleon, who hopefully will use his S3. And then your leader skill, which could be a Ninetales of the Fire or the Wind. And then or it can be any global 33% attack to everything. And then after that, you have your Belagor, who will deal a bunch of damage to the boss. Your Belagor should be hitting at the same time as everyone else's Belagor. And then finally your Katarina. You can see we almost derped this run, but because we had enough damage to sort of barely make it in the end. See? Looks like he derped, I guess. I'm not sure. So that is your attack order. You can see the 2 people who I am running with are running a slightly different team, which I think is more consistent, especially if you are just getting into this. They are running what is called a Kb5. Here, you're about to see what Belagor does here. They all hit at the same time, just did a ton of damage to the boss. So they are running a Kb5, and the advantage in a Kb5 is you're taking out Chloe and you're taking out Galleon, and you're replacing those two monsters with one monster of the Water Horse. I cannot say his name for the life of me, but it starts with a Q. That's the name of Kb5. You're replacing those two monsters with the Water Horse, who does the same thing as those two monsters. And because you made that replacement, you get to fit in this case they have the Fire Assassin, but I think it's more desirable to see a Hela. So because they've taken out two monsters and replaced it with one, they get a fit in a Hela, who comes in with an extra armor break and an extra potential to land the brand. But they have it with Lexi, who basically does the same thing. And then everything else is pretty much the same, except for your Kb5 can't be too fast. He has to be below 200 speed, I think. And the reason for that is you have to make sure that the boss hits your front line. You can see they're running Cat in their front line. You have to make sure that the boss attacks before the Water Horse does anything. And that's because in order to guarantee that that he uses his S3 on the Cat here, she has to take the most damage. So not only so it has a slightly, I don't want to say higher rune requirements, but slightly extra rune requirements, which really are sort of naturally what you'd be doing with Cat anyway. But Cat cannot have more HP and defense than any other monster on her team, just because she has to take the most damage for the Water Horse to do his effect on her. And then other than that, everything else is exactly the same. You have your turn order of the Water Horse, and then the Wind Horse goes and uses his S3 to give the Water Horse an extra turn, and that gives the Water Horse 2 chances to use his S3 on Cat. And then after that, you have your Hela or Lexi or whoever you're using to have her armor break chance or brand chance, and then you have your leader go after that. Ooh, we didn't get an armor break on this guy. It should still be okay. And then after that, you have your 2 damage dealers, Belagor and Cat, do their thing. Ooh, maybe it's not okay. We'll see. So here you can see we failed to get an armor break on the boss, and that is, I mean, it's partially everyone's fault, but it's partially my fault because I don't have my Galleon fully skilled up here. So he has a greater chance of derping or of not landing that armor break because the skill ups increase that percentage. We'll see if we can still pick it up. This guy might be able to. Nope, can't. So what else? The disadvantage, there we go, the disadvantage of a Kb5 team over a Kb5 team is that if your Water Horse derps both of his things, then you're left without the attack buff or the invincibility buff. So then your DPS is really messed up if that's the case. Whereas if Galleon derps in your Kb5 team, then maybe you still got your Chloe to activate, and if Chloe derps, then maybe your Galleon activated and you're left with something. So it's possible that if you have really good runes, running a Kb5 team might actually be more consistent than a Kb5. I'm not entirely sure. But that is the team. That is how it works. I hope I hope I can encourage you guys to build the team. The only hard part is getting the right stats onto Cat and excuse me, Belagor with the very specific rune requirements that they have. But it is doable. You should be on the lookout for basically they're quote unquote fat Lushan runes. But you should be on the lookout for those runes now. This one's actually a blue attack rune. And I probably would be better off if I could replace it, but I can't quite yet. And I'm looking forward to running it with you guys. I'm not looking forward to losing it here. Okay, I gotta show you guys a winning run. I can't end it on a losing run, guys. I'm sorry, I just can't. I just can't. So as I said, sometimes the team does derp. Sometimes you don't quite get there, and that is why even like you always want as much damage as you can, because the more damage you have on Cat and the more damage you have on Belagor, the easier it is to overcome your own derps, but also your teammates' derps. Oh no, we didn't get. Okay, we probably derped this one, guys. So, I'm sorry. You have to see one more now. You have to see one more. I guess the other disadvantage of the Kb5 is that they don't have the Galleon for the reliable armor break. Hela makes a big difference, but Hela over Lexi makes a big difference because she has 2 skills that do an armor break. And Lexi only has 1, and she also has 1 that brands, but you really want that armor break. This guy's wondering what's happening. I think we're just hitting a bad patch. Getting RNG'd. And it always feels bad when you fail a run because you lost 9 energy, right? Like you want to maximize how often you win these runs. Okay, looking good so far. I think we got this one, guys. I think we got it. Okay, finally. I'm kind of glad that you got to see a few derped runs because you can see that it does still happen. But I'm wanted to end on a positive run here. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll talk to you later.